Good evening and welcome to CanHammer, your stop for AOS and 40k from the Great White North. Today's show is episode 112. It's a 40k and Age of Sigmar show all about the Capital City Bloodbath 2017, which is a tournament that we all run together. As usual, I am your host, Chris.
Joined by me, Darren.
And Logan. I'm back.
Yeah, he's back after a long hiatus. The salt is still there, or is it a bit gone?
Yeah, it's flaking off, but it's still pretty crusty.
Oh, he's still crusty.
But not tonight. No salt tonight.
No, because we had a great time. We had a great time at this event. So for more information about CanHammer, you can visit our YouTube page, our Patreon, or any of that good stuff. You go to canhammer.ca, and all the links are there to give you all of those various things that we dabble in. We do battle reports, we do events, we do podcasts, you name it. If it's anything to do with the Games Workshop hobby, we're your stop, and as well Batman. Can't forget about Batman. So we are back. We've had an insane month. We kind of took a hiatus. It wasn't because of anything. We didn't rage quit because Logan rage quit. We just literally had so much going on that we were unable to record. So this is kind of going to be our catch-up show, and then we're going to get back into our regular weekly shows covering all the latest releases and things like that. So this week, we don't normally do very many shout-outs. We do like one or two maximum per show. But we have so many people that we're very grateful for and that have really supported us. And with running this event and with going to the ETC and things like that, we just have a ton of people that we got to thank. So I'm just going to run through this pretty quickly. First one is we have War Games, which is a gaming store in the UK. It's in Liverpool. Martin, he owns the store. It's a fairly new store, but it's very big and successful. It's taken the scene there by force. They sponsored us, and they've been like really supportive of Capital City Bloodbath, which is really awesome. Thank you. We'd also like to thank Dylan. He owns Multizone, Fandom, and a few other stores across Ontario. He did a lot of support for us. He sponsors us. He lets us run events at his store. So if you're in the Ottawa or Eastern Ontario region, please support him. We also have Sequence Comics in Brockville. This is a little store that's been really helpful to us. They also support us with prize support. They sponsor us so we can play, and they also run some of our local events, which is awesome. So if you're in the Brockville, Kingston area, please check out Sequence Comics. We also want to give a shout out to Caledonian Deathwatch Radio, which is a podcast. We got to meet their hosts over at the ETC. They're great guys. They're competitive. Please check it out and let them know that CanHammer sent you there. They put a lot of effort in. They just celebrated their 50th episode, so they've been around for quite some time. They have some sponsorships, so they're definitely worth checking out if you're into competitive play, which if you're listening to this, you probably are. We'd also like to give a shout-out to Scarcast. Scary over there has supported us with advertising and things like that. I'd also like to give a special thanks to the Trois River crew who bought me some beverages. Thanks, guys. And then Darren has a few shout-outs he'd like to do as well.
Yeah, I'd like to give a shout-out to GameMat.eu for recently sending us some game mats and some beautiful, they make that awesome painted, ready-to-go terrain, which is great. So I got this massive box a couple of weeks ago with all that stuff in it. So thank you very much to GameMat.eu. Check them out if you're looking for mats and terrain. Terrain that you don't have to do anything other than unpacking and putting on the table. I would also love to thank all the 5,003 or 2 subscribers on our YouTube channel. Literally in under a year, we've gone from about 1,200, 1,400 to 5,000 subscribers as of today, which is crazy. Yeah, that 5,000 people would subscribe to watch me play war games. But it's awesome. Thank you very much for your support. I will be doing a big giveaway. I just got to figure out what it is I want to give away, and I'll be announcing that on the YouTube channel. So stay tuned. But thank you very much for your continued support of the YouTube channel.
Yeah, and we don't normally, these aren't sponsors of the podcast. These are just sponsors of our events and things. And we just, every once in a while, we like to give shout-outs. So this isn't a normal thing. It's just a one-off thing. Awesome. So we're going to go on to hobby. I'm going to start with you, Darren. You've been hobbying like a fiend since, about 4 weeks now, right?
Yeah, I took there was a little bit of a break because I took, if you count my very frenzied painting of 100 Gene Stealers.
I don't actually consider your Gene Stealers painted.
No, they're like 3 colors.
So yeah, I had to get all my Gene Stealers ready for doubles that I played with Phil for Capital City. So that took a couple weeks. But I put a lot of work into my Patriarchs. Those were painted like proper. And then since then, though, I've been starting on this quote unquote commission for Nick. He's as people may know, Nick is training to be some kind of cold-blooded killer or a soldier of some sort, and but he wanted a new army. So I agreed to paint and assemble his army if he bought it, and I get to play it. And
you can't call yourself a pro painter because he's not paying you.
Yeah, I'm not. I don't call myself a pro painter, man. I'm anything but a pro painter. But the point of it is that I will get to play an orc army on the channel, and if and when he returns and wants to play it, you can have it back. So that's the deal. And so I've just almost finished assembling that. Just one Gorkanaut left to go. It's a Killacan themed army. I have to assemble 15 Killacans, some Death Dreads, and a couple of Big Mechs and the Gorkanaut, and that's the whole list. So it's going to be pretty fun. I'm going to start painting that up once I finish assembling it. And I've been dabbling in Guard.
Not really.
It started with conscripts.
Yeah, I was going to say, putting conscripts in the army doesn't count as dabbling.
Well, they were the gateway drug. And then now that I'm kind of putting my Dark Angels to the side and playing Gene Stealers, I'm playing Gene Stealers with Guard. And so now I've bought a whole bunch of Guard shit. I literally just assembled 9 heavy weapons teams while waiting for this podcast to start. So, I have been collecting more Forge World. Yes, I have a problem.
I don't understand it.
It's all over there.
You get more Forge World orders per month than anybody I've ever known.
It's a thing. I love their models. What can I say? But yeah, I got some Guard Forge World stuff for this particular army. So anyway, I got some more Forge World, and I've been actually painting up some of my scenery, craters, and some of this graveyard stuff, some trees, just like scatter terrain, just to make my tables a little bit more interesting for the bat reps. So I've been doing that as well.
Cool. Logan, anything you've been up to? Because actually, I've been seeing some really good photos from you on Facebook.
Yeah, so in my, I don't know, I haven't been gaming much, so it's mostly been, recently it's been a hobby really since Bloodbath. I put together a bunch of terrain, painted it up before Bloodbath, so basically put together 2 tables worth of stuff, or I guess I should say updated 2 tables worth of stuff. So it's all things people have seen on the channel before, but now they're actually painted pretty nicely, actually. Just with, various spray paint work, but it turned out really well, just using some combination of like a sort of a soft satin gray, a gray flat gray, and 1 or 2 sort of rust paints from Krylon. Turned out pretty well. It's pretty subtle effects, and it probably won't show up too well on film, but I think they look pretty good once they're on the table, in person at least. But past that, I've been working on some hobby stuff for actual models. So I've got some Death Guard, obviously the starter box, which I'm probably finally going to get around to building. But you can check out the Fate Weaver I just painted up on Instagram. It's CanHammer Logan on Instagram, or CanHammer Logan on Twitter, one and the same. So that was playing around with the airbrush again. I got to say, I am super impressed with the Minotaur paints from Badger. For Zinch stuff, they work pretty well. It's sort of a satin finish, but with the flat coat, they just look fantastic. Mm-hmm. And more importantly, I've had these paints now for 1.5 years, and not a single one of them has dried up. The bottles are amazing. My GW paints have surprisingly lasted pretty well too, considering they haven't been touched in probably 4 or 5 months. So,
well, the new rubber lids, when they got away from the black hard plastic, I think
it's gotten better.
Went away.
Yeah, even my whites have stuck around, which is amazing. Those things usually turn into rocks in a couple weeks.
Ugh.
Yeah, not mine, man. Mine all turned to like Jello.
That said, I learned one great hobby trick from Mr. Max Dubois, and this works for GW paints as well. Windex.
Yeah.
Mix some Windex with the paints. It's great for flow improver for airbrushes, but even for just painting on, it's I've so far found it to be better than water for mixing.
It definitely
thins it right out.
And it's also good for cleaning some of those really bad brushes. You can soak them in there.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's less intense than paint thinner. My problem is I'm a brush licker. And you don't want to dip your brushes in Windex and then lick them.
That's fair. I use hand sanitizer to clean my brushes, and that works pretty well, actually. Wish I had known about that years ago, but I started it not too long ago. Yeah, that's about it for me. I've got lots of stuff on the hobby table back here to keep working on.
Good. So that goes on to me. So I haven't been painting a lot, but I did finish my 2,000 point demons. It was a long haul, man. Who knew the demons would become like such a horde army nowadays? But I got it all done for the ETC, so I'm just going to take this opportunity to talk about the ETC a little bit. We don't have a designated show for that, and we're just kind of falling behind, so we're going to move on. But the ETC was awesome. I was Canadian captain. We had a really great crew. We had Dan Platt, Burton, Jason Sparks, myself, Kieran, Joe, Ben, Tristan. Who am I missing? Somebody. Oh, Ricky. Oh, I forgot Ricky. And we had a great time. We showed up there. And for those of you that have never been to the ETC, it's basically an 8-man tournament, or 8-player tournament. You have one non-playing member of your team, and you line up, you kind of match. It's really fascinating the way that it works. But the best part is that you go as a team. There's one team per country, so the camaraderie is like amazing. And if you haven't been and you can get on a team, it's amazing. Like the friends you meet there, I can't even describe it. Like, cause it's like so intense, but so friendly and so like, I don't know. It's just like some of those I cherish all my memories from the ETC, and like I miss the ETC a lot right now, and I miss a lot of the people that I won't get to see till next year, hopefully. So it's awesome time. The Canadian team went 2-1-3, so we didn't do so hot. But, we did pretty good for maybe being one of the fluffier teams there. I'm sorry, guys. We tried, but just the meta got away from us in the end, and we weren't able to kind of, do as well as we wanted. But our first game was against Denmark, and they basically beat the crap out of us. It was a great game. So one thing I should say about the ETC is it's different from a lot of single tournaments in that, for the most part, you're playing against, like, really top tier, clean, solid players who just want really hard games, and there's like no arguments and no pushing the rules. Now there are exceptions to that on some of the teams. Some countries. So if you think about it from a political point of view, some countries have guys that aren't so nice, but it is what it is. We happen to play all nice teams, but so we got killed by Denmark, but they were awesome guys, really cool. One of the guys on their team owns Army Painter, which is pretty awesome talking to him, because we had, obviously all our armies were decently painted. And so he was like, Burton was like, oh man, this is like from your company. And I was like, yeah, all the tufts on my demons are your tufts, right? It was kind of interesting, but they beat the crap out of us. Then round 2, we played Czech Republic, and they had a water bottle full of whiskey, and they were kind of there for fun. So it went really well for us. Nice. But they were awesome dudes, really fun to play against. It was hard to share a water bottle with 16 to 18 people full of whiskey. You know what I mean? Everybody was drinking from this water bottle, and every turn I had to take a shot from it. So I was like, okay.
You know what? It's high enough percentage. At least you wouldn't catch anything from it.
Yeah, I wasn't too worried. I was like, if anything, you guys are catching something from me. So,
oh god.
So that went really well for us. And then the next day we played Turkey, which was awesome because I really wanted to play Turkey. Their captain is the head of 40K, kind of the event organizer. I always say his name wrong. It's Izik or Izilk. I'm sorry, man. I'm so bad at pronouncing Turkish names. And I actually got to play their captain in a really good game. He had robots, Calexuses, and Custodes. And it was a crazy, tight game. I ended up going really well to me in the end. But Turkey actually beat us, which was pretty crazy. I was actually scared because I played the Calexus matchup with Demons, and I was like, I'm going to lose. And then I 20-0'd, and I was like, yeah, this is the deciding factor. I looked over, and I was like, oh. And then Ben's like, no, we lost. Your game didn't matter.
That's always fun in team events.
Yeah. After that, we got to play Belgium, which was awesome. One of the guys that does, Tom, he does all the work on the pack, plays for Belgium. They were a great team. We also got to play the Netherlands, which was awesome. They're another great team. Lots of really good friends on both Belgium and Netherlands. They're the teams that I happen to trade my Canadian jerseys to because we had such a great time hanging out with them. And then one of our favorite rounds, just because the night we came in, we started drinking with the Scottish guys and the Welsh guys, and we ended up playing Scotland, and it was awesome playing, because, we're Canadian, so we have a little bit of a common ancestry with, the UK, and there's lots of Scottish people around here. I have some Scottish ancestry as well, so it's really cool to play them. They're an awesome team, a lot of really good guys, and I just can't say enough, man. I don't think I had a single game that was even questionable. I don't think anybody on our team, nobody on our team felt bad, felt robbed at all. We had a great time. Everybody wants to go back. It was awesome. And the kicker of the weekend is that we won Best Painted Team.
Nice.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome. We went all out for display too. We did Canadian flags. We did all our armies. We fully painted them. Everybody was make sure your army's fully painted. Everybody painted their own army except for Ricky. He used Nate's army, but that's okay because Nate's army is gorgeous. So it is what it is.
It is.
Everyone else painted their own stuff. Looked really good.
And if you guys haven't seen the armies, they're over on the ETC Team Canada Facebook page. Definitely check out Burton's Knights. They are unbelievable.
Yeah, they were really nice. It was just, I'm just so hyped for it right now. I want to go back next year. I get lots of emails. I put a post on the Team Canada Facebook page. We are not accepting applications until the new year. We found this year we built the team too early. I'm going to be watching people in a sick kind of twisted way. No, I'm going to be basically keeping an eye on you guys, how your results are. So if you're interested, fire me off a message. Hey, Chris, I'm interested in joining the team. And then, I'll be watching you. Make sure you play in events. And we actually want to go back next year and be very competitive. But also we want to... So they did screw up our awards. So you're going to hear us talk about how we won Best Artistic because they misspelled artistic and it's artistic. So we do want to re-win Best Artistic Team. But we also want to, win all of our games. So
where is it next year?
It's in Croatia, which is gonna be awesome.
Shit. Near
Zagreb, right?
Oh yes.
Yeah. Is that how you say it, Zagreb? I wasn't even going to try to pronounce it.
That's pretty sweet. That's pretty sweet.
Yeah. It's going to be awesome. It's supposed to be a very beautiful city, a lot cheaper than Spain.
Oh,
so yeah. That we were in Salamanca, Spain, which is a gorgeous city, worth touring. But oh man, it's going to be awesome. So if you're interested, let me know and play in events and play because we're really going to put an emphasis on how well you do this year, as well as painting doesn't matter. We want winning first, I guess, but definitely. There is a lot of criteria we're going to be marking you on. One is how many times you play, how well you place, how well you fit in with the team, how nice of a guy you are, and whether or not you're a solid, upstanding player. Some of the teams have players on them that are questionable, and they know they're questionable, but they keep them on because they score more points. We would like to move away from it. We would like to, be known as good guys and represent our country well. So we will be it's not all about gaming, win at all costs, but that is going to factor in a lot heavier this year. So
guess I'm out, eh?
You?
Not a nice guy.
You're just such a dick. It's unbelievable.
Can't take you in. So I'm sorry we can't give more justice to the ETC, but that's my quick synopsis. Hopefully I didn't bore you guys too much. But I think this year we represented Canada well. We had some of the best jerseys there. We had some of the best dice there. At the end, at the awards ceremony, our wives came in just to try and find us, and they said they couldn't actually find us because of how many people were wearing Canadian jerseys. So everybody cracked. It was crazy. You look around, it looked like we had 5 Canadian teams in the crowd. It was amazing. And I'm going to brag about myself a little bit. So far, been to 2 ETCs, won 3 awards. So 2 best painting and 1 best sports. So we got to keep this shit up, yo.
Nice.
Cool. So we'll move on. We're going to move on to news. I'm going to hand I guess I'll just take the AOS, keep babbling on. General Handbook 2017 is out tomorrow for Age of Sigmar. I am so stoked for this. What do you guys think?
It's been a long time coming. I mean, we've been talking about GHV2 since January?
Yep.
Yeah. What I hope with this is that it starts a sort of resurgence of releases for AOS, because we haven't had anything since Disciples of Zinj, right?
Nope.
Yeah, since 40K took over completely.
Which is fine. 40K is good-ish now, but AOS is just disappointing because Disciples of Zinj came out and it was a massive change to the game, right? Like I don't know, from an outsider perspective, everything I hear is that it basically broke the game. Like it's a broken book.
One unit in that book.
One unit, yeah, the Skyfires, right? And then the Fate dice as well are just two crazy mechanics that no other army seems to have anything comparable to, and they just sort of let it sit. So I'm hoping GHB2 signals a new set of releases, or at least helps balance out some of that stuff. Maybe gives a few perks to a couple other armies that need it.
Well, yeah. So they did have a significant amount of armies are now getting allegiance abilities. So you have incentive to take a pure, Fire Slayers, and there's a whole list of other ones I'm not going to get into because I want to do a whole show on General Handbook 2 once we've played a few games with it. But yeah, so they basically, a lot of the books that the factions that, you can kind of tell like Fire Slayers aren't getting any releases coming up. Like it's obvious, but they're getting some rules updates to keep them in the meta. They're getting some points drops, and they're changing some of the core rules. It's a bit early. We're recording this now. You guys, when you listen to this, probably know this, but apparently they're going to the character mechanics from 40K, so you can't snipe characters, which is hit or miss. But you have to remember, one of the biggest things that Skyfires added to the game was the fact that they could just kill all your characters. So this will change the meta. And Age of Sigmar characters, generally, the smaller ones aren't so hot in combat anyway. So, and they don't have a lot of range damage. It's not like 40K.
Yeah, there's no like robot girly man equivalent. Right, there's nothing that's crazy like reroll to hit and reroll to wound and do all this other stuff, right?
Everything with a 3-up invul, but not yet. But anyway, it can't be bad. Like an update to the game can't be bad.
Yeah.
So I'm stoked. One of the really cool things that I'm really happy to see is that they did a female Stormcast Eternal model, and her name is Neve Blacktalon. And I think that's about time. One of the things that a lot of people actually talk to me about is, why aren't there dwarves that are Stormcasts or elves or Seraphon? Like when they die, maybe Seraphon doesn't make sense in the lore, but when they die, why aren't they made into Stormcasts? Why is it all human males?
Racists.
And so I'm actually stoked that this is the first thing. Okay, now we have a female. I thought she was an elf, but on closer examining of her ears, she doesn't look to be an elf, but she has that kind of sharp angled facial features. So at first I thought she was, but no. But it's a good start, and it would add some character to the Stormcast army for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool. So you guys want to take away 40K news?
Go for it, Darren.
Well, since our last podcast, a lot has happened. Obviously, we've had 3 codexes: Codex Space Marines, Codex Grey Knights, and Codex Chaos Space Marines, which were all actually really good releases, I thought. And I think people were quite excited about Chaos Space Marines, and it kind of lived up to a lot of hype. I think other than Gulliman, it kind of matched. I mean, a lot of it was actually exactly the same. If people were watching my read-throughs on YouTube, it's almost like reading the same codex, just slightly different names for some of the character sheets. A lot of flavor still there. I thought it was well done. Same with the Space Marine Codex. A lot of flavor, and the Grey Knights Codex definitely has flavor. Grey Knight's going to be strong. But yeah, so we'll be covering those in future episodes. But and next up is Death Guard and Mortarion, which was leaked last week. And probably, I think it looks like a Typhus and a bunch of other new models coming out, Terminators and this kind of siege like walker thing, which looks pretty sweet.
Oh, and I'm super stoked because I love the Typhus model. Yep. So they're like redoing him, but not really. They just changed vents on his chest. They added an Nurgling. They basically updated some outdated.
It's updated, yeah.
Like venting ports and weird things like that were like, it looked like they're from like the 90s, but
it's a new pose as well, right? He's got the
slightly.
Yeah, I think it's going to be pretty cool. I'm stoked, I hope they make the Terminators and everything good, because I would love to finally run Typhus in a list.
And are they? I'm going to buy.
No, same size.
Oh, because he's kind of small now compared to like Primaris Space Marines.
yeah. I don't know. They may give him like a scenic base or something, like they've been doing with some folks. But what I'm looking forward to most from that, one, I'm really looking forward to painting Mortarion. The model looks pretty cool. I'm not a big fan of the GW paint scheme, so I'm going to go with my own thing for it. But I'm interested to see what they do with Death Guard, because right now they're a little underwhelming for the stuff that came out with like the box set And obviously the CSM book didn't do anything for them since they're getting their own thing. But meh, I'm hoping. I love me some Nurgle. So
yeah,
optimistic.
Well, their zombies are amazing for their points cost.
The Poxwalkers?
Yeah.
I need to find a different set of minis to use for those, though.
You could probably use Mantic zombies or even GW zombies.
The plan is to get the Mantic ones. The Poxwalker minis are just horrible. I can't unsee Rick and Morty when I look at them now. It's
the Mantic
really
ones are really cheap too. You get twice the number.
The Mantic ones are great. If people are happy with using zombies for them, which I think makes perfect sense because it's just close combat attacks for these guys. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, I'm excited to see. I'm excited to see how. I mean, if Mortarion is even half as good as Magnus, it's going to be a meta shifter, right? Like a big meta shifter coming.
So that's something that people say. People do complain about Magnus a lot. I've played him a lot. To me, he's underwhelming. I don't know. He's just so many points.
Like he doesn't win games for you, but he's a strong. Unit,
he's the distraction super heavy, right? It's the same idea as when you take like the Storm Surge or the Imperial Knight, right? It's a 500-600 point distraction that your opponent has to deal with, which buys you like 2 turns to do whatever the hell you want. And if you ignore him, it's just untold havoc, right? Spamming mortal wounds everywhere, killing anything in close combat. I'm just excited. Like I hope Mortarion is good because I really enjoy big centerpiece models like that.
Me
like
too.
You've got for like the Wood Elves in Age of Sigmar or Nagash sitting back on my shelf here.
Yeah.
Nagash. Hopefully we get some love in AOS. I want Nagash to be better, but
there was a guy playing in Nagash army at Cap City, which we'll talk about.
It went down.
A lot of fun.
It went down like 200 points or something.
He's only 800 now. Okay, yeah, that's good.
He went down. He got cut points wise, like big time.
All right. Okay, well, we're going to see my Death Army in a couple weeks in AOS then. But I really like those centerpiece models, so I hope Mortarion is actually worth taking because that'd be a lot of fun.
Do you want him more like a Magnus role, or like I would like to see Mortarion more like a Girly Man role, more of a force multiplier, keeps your troops alive.
Girly Man, make Plague Marines and Poxwalkers more durable. And
maybe not Poxwalkers. Come on, that's pushing it.
No, Poxwalkers are actually they already get some bonuses from other stuff, but Mortarion, if he synergizes somewhere with the the Plague Marines, I think that'd be awesome because the Plague Marines just suck right now, right? They're nowhere near worth their points cost, and with the weaponry they've got access to, the Blight Launchers are great, but only 24-inch range really hurts them. So if there's something that lets them be more durable and move up, and Mortarion gives them that, that's money right there.
Yeah, for sure.
No, it's exciting, man. Another Primarch, and then next will be the Lion, right? Yoo-hoo.
Oh yeah,
I hope so, man. Oh, I can't wait.
I'm like taking a break from Dark Ages, but if the Lion comes out, I'm like fucking straight back in there.
It's been how many years that he's supposed to be next?
Oh man,
I would like to see some Iron Warriors love, but that's not gonna happen.
Nah, dude's dead, man. Okay,
he's not dead.
No, Warriors. Okay, I thought you said Iron Hands.
No.
Yeah, with his robot duders, like those crazy. Those guys are awesome.
Well, I have the 30K fig for him, and I'm just like, if everybody else is getting Primarchs, I want some too. But I own all of them so far, all the GW released ones, like Magnus and Girly Man, and I'm probably going to buy Mortarion just because he's so awesome.
Oh, I don't even play Gulliman. He's sitting behind me, assembled but not painted, but I just don't have the heart to get rid of him. Next is Mechanicus. That's spoiled already, which is pretty cool. Mechanicus and Knights. So we'll see what happens to robots. And then possibly I heard a rumor that Astra Militarum was next after that.
There was love, man.
There was a rumor after a rumor after a rumor that Plastic Sisters is maybe finally coming.
No, that's never happened.
I don't believe. Even Forge World no longer sells their Sisters of Battle figures.
Yeah, no, Sisters are dead and gone. They're never coming back, which is a damn shame.
Because they released rules for those Sisters of Battle tanks, and they're really good.
Yep.
But you can't buy them.
Well, I mean,
there's a lot.
Yeah, that's one thing. We were talking about the GHB2, right? They're keeping all the legacy stuff, aren't they? New point costs and everything.
Yeah.
Yep.
Stuff's got to go. It's got to go.
Some of it does. Some of it doesn't. But like the stuff that you can still kind of buy, like direct order only or Finecast.
Yeah, direct order is fine. Finecast, that's great. But if you can't buy it, just don't have rules for it.
Yeah, if you can't buy it, or just
they did the great culling of that in what, 5th edition, or going to no, it was 6th edition when they did the codexes. If there was no model, it was gone. End of story. So I don't know why they've started doing this again. Like even with the 8th edition stuff with indexes, especially Forge World. Forge World's terrible for this. But there's a bunch of stuff that's never had a model that still has rules.
Yeah, Forge World. Like even the codexes have stopped. They didn't provide data sheets in the new codex for stuff that you had to convert, right? Like
why would you pay somebody to write rules?
One exception, right? The Grandmaster Dread Knight. There's no actual model for that. It's just
which is weird that they did that because they seem to be on this trend that they weren't putting rules in for things that they don't sell models for. But then Forge World has half their book is stuff they don't sell models for, like all the Space Marine characters.
That Grandmaster, they did a wicked in the latest White Dwarf. They did a wicked how to convert. It was so awesome.
Okay, that's cool. I haven't read the new one yet. It's sitting on my desk over here, actually.
That conversion is worth checking out because it looks badass. They basically just took
Valdis.
Yeah, Valdis, they cut them in half, and they showed you how to green stuff them in, and it was a really cool conversion.
Yeah,
that's cool. I'm glad they're getting back to that.
And also, they've leaked obviously chapter approved with some big changes to matched play, like some big core mechanics, like the first turn thing.
So the first turn's going to +1.
So like ITC has been doing. However, they say this book's not released till December, but apparently, if you go to Nova or some other tournaments, you're going to have these rules in effect. So just be aware of that. But
yeah,
it's kind of weird to play with rules that aren't going to be released till December. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, I really don't like that. So there's two sides to it. So ITC has been doing this already, and ETC did the same thing. I think, didn't they, Chris? The +1?
No, we played first turn. We played rulebook, bro.
Sure, rulebook. I mean, we did rulebook at Bloodbath, and it was completely fine. But it's cool to see that they're following trends from the community. But it's also really frustrating that before 8th came out, literally everyone from everywhere was saying, just play by the rules, man. Give it 6 months. And then everyone changes everything right away.
Everything.
Except us, apparently. We're the only group in the world that plays this game raw, which is a huge change.
No, all the basement guys do.
I'm sure. I mean, at sort of competitive level. The Alpha Strike
guys are trying hard because... Yeah. So a lot of guys said that, oh man, who goes first? And I went, yeah, well, when you take 5 model army, it matters who goes first, right?
Yeah. Well, if
you plan on that, you plan on that.
Right? You build an Alpha Strike army and you don't go first, yes, you're going to lose. Like, you can't build a one-dimensional list. Or it will never work. It's never worked, right? Every edition where somebody's built lists like that, a counter is found. And in this case, the counter is 1, seizing, or 2, just designing a different list that'll go first. So I don't think this one's necessary. The other big change in chapter approved is for flyers. Basically, they don't score at all anymore, which has some hilarious wording because they do nothing for you in kill points missions. So I'm sure we'll see that fact pretty quickly.
Yeah, they should be able to score kill points. The thing is about the flyers, a lot of people right now are like, that fact nerfed flyers. I'm like, it really didn't.
It didn't.
Because one collects us in the back corner. I was like, it made them slightly harder. Yeah, I'll give you that. But that wasn't a nerf. This is now the nerf.
Yeah, you're going to see a huge dip in flyers now. I mean, you'll still see you'll still see them. Absolutely.
Two of them, they come in, they cream so much of your enemy's army that.
Absolutely, but the five Storm Ravens and some Scouts it won't work anymore. It can't. You can never score anything. You have to table your opponent to win with that, which is not reliable. And then they're bringing back OBSEC for all troops in all detachments. I think it is now.
Everybody,
just troops choices.
Well, you have to have a pure detachment.
What do you mean?
What?
Oh, it has to be battle forged.
Yeah. No. You have to be all Ultramarines or whatever.
Yeah, so battle forged.
Yeah,
no,
but
no,
battle forged. Not Imperial soup. So.
Oh, okay, that's actually pretty cool. And that's
I kind of like it. I
just
they're trying to get people to bring troops and to stay specific faction, right?
Yeah, is that per detachment though?
Yeah, in your in that detachment.
That I don't know how much that solves.
Because now conscripts as OBSEC is disgusting.
Yeah.
Yeah, but only if your whole detachment is Astromilitarum.
Yeah, so I take a detachment with what? One
you
troop,
take-
1 HQ.
Yeah, you take like the basic detachment and spam out conscripts. There's lots of ways around it. It's gonna be interesting. I mean, the brimstone change helps with that, but now you're gonna have. I mean, spamming brimstones is still good.
But if everybody has,
They
it,
did not nerf brimstones, by the way.
Nowhere near enough.
3 points. Like, I play them, and I'm like, that is not enough of a nerf bat. Because
not at all.
3 points
what is a
for
1 point
renewal?
change? Yeah.
It's 50% increase. So, like, yeah, it is significant, but it's not, because 3 points for that model is disgusting.
Yeah, it makes no difference at all. Because, like, what, pinks are 10 points, 11 points
Yeah.
still? Like, they're the same friggin' thing.
They kind of are. Pinks, like, have 4+4+ in combat. Oh, sorry, 4+ strength 3.
Yeah, you
Pinks
don't
have
take
2 shots, strength 3 at 18-inch range. It's an assault weapon. Pinks are the only ones that come back if you roll a 1 on the banner.
Okay,
I think pinks are
enough,
appropriate. At 10 points, I think pink is reasonable. Maybe.
No, pinks went down.
Yeah, they're
No
9
way.
points now, aren't they?
8
With
points.
the
They went down 2
points.
points.
Yeah.
So did blues. Blues
Yeah.
and pinks both went down.
So-
All the horrors went down except brimstones went up. To
Why
3.
would they go down in points? Did I miss that? I must have
so
missed
that you bring more of them.
So you mean my
obviously
pink
don't
star
watch
just
my
got
videos,
better?
man.
Not that
You don't
pink
watch my
star's very
videos.
good. Buddy,
Yeah.
I landed from Europe on a Monday and ran Capital City on a Thursday. My life has been Warhammer hell.
Yeah, all the horrors went down except the brims went up to 3.
Yeah,
Holy
so
smokes.
I have some major concerns about what's going to happen with this. With that said, though, by the time Chapter Approved is around, we're probably going to have a Demon's Codex, so God only knows what they're going to do. So,
But you know what? It's nobody. I've never had anybody but you guys complain about my pink star. So at the ETC, nobody said a word about it.
well, no, but how many lists were there spamming brims with blues? Every
all of
single
them.
team.
I was
Right.
literally the only person with pink cores at the
You were the
ETC.
only person with pinks. Yeah, I'm not, pinks are one aspect of this, right? It's the horrors in general, whichever one they happen to be. Like the brim spam, particularly with a couple blues, is everywhere.
I'm gonna
And
keep the
this
pink
this
stars.
makes it better.
They got better. I'm happy, man. So that means my list in general, I can just add more stuff to it. That's awesome.
Yeah, you just shaved off like 200 points on your list.
Okay, so we'll move on.
Yep.
Event spotlight. There's 2 events we want to talk about. Good friends of ours are running events. First one is the Quebec City Open, which is October 20th to 22nd, run by Max Dubois of Hellfire Painting. It is an awesome event. I definitely recommend checking it out. I am in the 90% chance going, so if you want to hang out with us, I will be there. Darren's coming to 100% because I'm going to drive to his house and drag him there. It's basically, I think I said it, Max, Hellfire Painting, worth going. The next one is Du Bois GT, November 17th and 19th in Rochester, New York. It's a 3-day gaming extravaganza. It's a multiple gaming system. They have Warhammer 40k, Age of Sigmar, Fantasy 8th Edition, boo, Blood Bowl, and 9th Age, boo. But it's going to be an awesome time. I've never had a bad time at Du Bois. I'm thinking about going to play Age of Sigmar, but we'll see. You can email Du Bois, rocgt@gmail.com for more information, or you can use hashtag Du Bois GT. @Cornlord is Gary, the organizer's Twitter account. So please, if you go, let him know that you heard about it on CanHammer. Just help them out. They help us out. Now we're going to move on to the main segment of our show. We're going to talk about Capital City Bloodbath. Capital City Bloodbath.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
2017. Capital City Bloodbath.
Capital City Bloodbath. Capital City Resort.
So Capital City Bloodbath.
Capital City Bloodbath.
It's not quite the CanHammer GT, but it's pretty damn close.
Damn close. Damn
Yeah.
Maybe we
it's-
should restamp it.
Nope. Nope. So
we
anyway,
got t-shirts now. We're stuck with the event name.
so this is a collaboration between Logan, Jason, myself, and Andrew. We've been running it for about 5 years now. We started off as a 30-player fantasy GT at a hotel in Ottawa, and then we moved to the UI Center. We've grown. Since the first Capital City, we've grown by like 500%, which is pretty awesome. Or maybe more. I didn't actually.
About that. We're about
Yeah.
5 times as big now.
So it's basically when we get together, we run this event. I tell people this is the event that I personally want to play in, and that's how I run it. And I don't know if Logan can. Do you feel the same way?
Oh, absolutely. Like, that's our entire goal for this. There are differences we could put in the event to, attract more people, right? It could be a little bit cheaper. We could have the tables closer together to fit more stuff. We could have crappier terrain to shave off cost. But like, the idea for this, one, it's a break-even event for anybody asking. But two, yeah, the entire thing is designed from the ground up to be the best possible event that we can run. Like, to Chris's point, anything we go to events and we try to incorporate into Bloodbath. Yeah. And stuff we don't like, we specifically try to cut out.
Yeah, so some of our specifics are that, like, every table has a fat mat or equivalent, because they're amazing to roll on. They're amazing to move models on. It's just comfortable. We also have a 2x4-inch square on every table for people to put their armies. So everybody's display board goes on the table and does not interfere with the game.
That was really good.
Yes, did I say 2 by? I thought I said 2 by.
Yeah, you said inches.
Did I say inches?
2 by 4 foot.
I put my Alexis there.
Yeah, sorry, 2 by 4 foot.
That was really good.
Yeah, and on your side, everybody has a 6-inch line to put their casualties on, and dice and measuring tape, so they're off the board, right? You don't have to put stuff on the board. And to me, that's huge. We also have a minimum of 5 feet in between every table on all sides. So you have a chair, and you should not be touching another human being while you're playing. And all of our terrain, I would say, is above average in quality. That's one of our goals. We have over $30,000 worth of terrain to put that event on. And that's just what we want, right? We want the tables to be gorgeous, so that if your army is unpainted, you feel bad. And that's because we allow unpainted armies. And if you notice, we had 3.
Yeah, out of like, if you cut out the War Machine people, we literally had 3 armies that were unpainted across all the other events, which is great. And even War Machine was at least 50% painted this year, which is amazing.
Yeah, and we allow unpainted armies. So normally you'd expect to see way more of that. No, because half of our awards are painting awards. So yeah, we give I gave 4 generalship awards away at Age of Sigmar, but I give away 3 painting awards and a best overall as well. So it is, you could come there with a plastic army and just pound face and win an award, but you can also show up there and paint well, and you could do well, right? And we have showcases and things which we'll talk about.
Yeah, out of our basically like 8 awards per event, if you show up with a completely unpainted army, you're eligible for one of those effectively. Yeah, it's really unlikely you'll get anything else.
I know our ticket price is a bit steep, but it does include 2. Well, it depends if you play all 3 days. It includes 3 lunches, and our lunches this year. Oh, thanks, Darren. We tried to step. Last year was a bit rocky, and then we'll admit that. And then this year we definitely hammered our caterer a little bit more to make sure that the quality was better. So we had on the Friday, we had hamburgers and French fries, and the French fries were awesome.
Yeah, they were actually good. And desserts, like a whole selection of desserts, drinks, everything.
I didn't even know there were desserts until it was too late.
What do you mean? There was tons left at the end.
Yeah, we had lots left.
I know, but I was like playing, and I was like, I didn't even know.
Oh, and then Saturday they had bags of chips, pulled pork sandwich with like tons of toppings. I put so many jalapenos on my pulled pork sandwich that I like it. It burned twice, man. And then they had like coleslaws and stuff. Oh, and desserts again. And then on the third day we had a Chinese,
full Chinese buffet
spread.
Like Americanized Chinese. It was chicken balls and lemon chicken and stuff like that. But it was pretty good. It was pretty good. I was really happy with it. Like I think the only event I've been to that's been comparable on the catering side was Du Bois when they were at their old location in Canandaigua.
And the cool thing is there was places other than the gaming tables where you could eat.
That was mandatory.
And people just kind of sit around and chat, and like it was awesome.
Yeah, we tried to go for like an hour 15 for lunch so people can hang out with their buddies.
Yeah. And people think that we care. We don't care if you sat and ate at the tables. The reason that we had a policy that you weren't allowed to sit at the tables and eat is that we wanted people to mingle with the other games. So one of our rules was all 5 tournaments had to have lunch at the same time. and all the people had to sit in this. We had a special food area, and it helped us clean up after people left. There was less mess, less chance of spilling. Like there was all that too, but the intention of it was to have all the players mix and kind of just sit in this like catering area and eat. And I think it was really great, and it was right near the garage sale as well. So cool. So let's start with
garage sale was the bomb.
Oh, it was. I sold a lot.
You're the only buddy who sold more than me, man.
Really?
Yeah, you sold just a little bit more than me.
Because I sold a lot.
They're like, I think you sold the most. I'm like, who sold more than me? Was it Chris? And they're like, oh yeah, it was Chris.
I sold enough to start a hobby store. But anyway, so we'll start with the Friday events. Age of Sigmar doubles. Sadly, we had a team drop out last minute, which put us under numbers. So what we did is we ended up splitting them into, we gave a refund, all but the food because they wanted to stay and eat and play. So I gave them a full refund. I felt really terrible actually about this, that it failed. We didn't have enough players, so they ended up doing a singles tournament, and I ended up just rejigging the award structure. We took some money somewhere else in the budget, and we were able to get 3 awards. And then the last place, and we were able to basically run a 1,200-point primer tournament that was it was for fun, and everybody seemed to really enjoy it, and it was very cheap for them, and so it worked out really well.
Yeah, I talked to those guys at lunch because I was like, "How's doubles going?" They're like, "It's actually singles," but actually they were having a great time. So yeah.
Yeah, I really felt bad, but they were great about it, and they, and we threw some good prizes their way just to make sure that it was worthwhile for them to actually play the tournament. And it was pretty sweet. So it went pretty well. But Logan, how'd your doubles go?
Doubles a lot of fun. We had I think 28 players this year.
40K doubles, yeah.
40K doubles, yeah. The event was designed, for lack of a better term, to be a shit show. The singles was the competitive event. The doubles, we allowed absolutely everything, right? If it has a rule in an index book, Forge World or GW, you're welcome to use it. It's 1250 points per player, 3 games, 3-hour rounds. From the sounds of it, everyone had a really good time with it, which is great.
Super fun.
There was a crazy run for the win. There's some interesting team names. So we had some big upsets. We had some really just fun people do really well in the event, which was great. But let us know what the feedback was on stuff like scenarios for that. I'm curious. We basically updated last year's scenarios for this year for the doubles because they got pretty good feedback last year. So it'd be interesting to hear how they come in with 8th.
Yeah.
So I thought it was a lot of fun to run. The one thing I noticed right off the bat, and sorry to interrupt you there, the one thing I noticed right off the bat is this is the first, I guess, second 8th edition event I've TO'd. And as a TO, I can safely say I was bored out of my mind, which is amazing. Like, I've never TO'd an event where I haven't been running around constantly answering questions about rules. But 8th edition seems to run itself pretty well, which is amazing.
Yeah, I thought it was super, super fun. That's my first time I played in like a doubles. Like I played team tournament, and me and Phil just went into it like, we want to win, but we're like going all out. And it was just super fun. All 3 games were really fun, and the missions were good. The only comment I have about the missions was the one with the table quarters, where you have to hold with 1 unit from each person.
Oh, that's my favorite.
That's really hard.
It's so challenging.
It's really hard.
It's really hard. Yeah.
So I'm like, it's really hard. And also I kind of got screwed by the fact that each person has to deploy only half. But other than that,
you got screwed because you had to play by the rules. Okay.
Wrecked.
I didn't know that, but anyway. But no, it was super fun. I really enjoyed it. Actually, other than the very last game on the Sunday that I played, that was the most fun I had at CCBB was the doubles.
Nice.
We had this. Awesome. Oh man, you should if people can watch the video that's up already on YouTube. But last game, epic C's by Phil. It was awesome.
That was against Will, Paul, and Jason, wasn't
it? Yeah. What? Literally, like. We had the line up on the line, like 10 inches away from like this massive Dark Angel's gun line. And like, if they got first turn, game over basically, unless we seized. And Phil just pops out a 6 Boom. We still lost,
it was still
we
good.
took it to 5 turns instead of dying it in turn 1.
Great. So who won the 40K doubles?
The 40K. Should we say the name? Do you have any objection to this, Chris?
No, I don't care. I'm actually the one that named their team.
That's true. So the 40K doubles, best overall, went to Team Lickalotopus. And then we had...
That's so bad. They're like, we don't have a team name. I was like, you want Blunt Force Trauma? They're like, no. I was like, what about Lickalotopus? And they're like, okay.
And that worked out pretty well. Best general went to Fire Breathing Duck, which was a duo from Petawawa, including Darby, who comes out to events constantly, and one of his buddies, Cody, who is, I think, the first time he's come down to Ottawa for an event, which was cool. Best hobbyist went to Atomic Death Squad, which was BJ and Triple, I believe. I think that's who it was. They
played together. They were the ones drunk at 10 a.m.
Yes, it was. Yeah, it was BJ.
Well, BJ was. Triple wasn't, but BJ.
And then our Bad Dice Award went to Team Tranderwall, who managed to get 1 battle point out of the entire event.
That's awesome. Rough.
What about so how did the AOS results go?
Yeah, so it was just a small mini tournament. I'm going to say his name wrong, but Matthew ended up getting the Bad Dice Award. Zach got first place with his Tomb Kings, and then everybody else also won awards. So
it was a good throwback to the first year of AOS. If you showed up, you got an award.
Yeah, it was just a really good time, and it parallels a lot of the singles on the results. So we'll kind of move into the singles a little bit. Okay, so Saturday is our GT style where we're doing singles. Actually, one thing, if you're listening to this and you want to give feedback, actually before we move on, special shout out to the Basement Collective for supplying our Bad Dice Awards.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Thanks,
cool.
guys. They're awesome. They gave us milled dice with a tin. So good. They both showed up, and they just razzed me the whole friggin' weekend, and it's awesome.
Yeah.
It was like hard selling me on like Riptides and stuff like that. He's trying to flog me his Elder army the whole time. Kevin's trying hard.
That was a nice army too.
It was. I was tempted. I'll tell you, I was tempted, but I didn't have $600 on me.
Yeah. They deal in some high end Warhammer.
So the next events is we run a 2-day singles GT, Age of Sigmar, and 40K, as well as there's Batman, Hobbit, etc. We're just going to cover. You can watch Blackfire Productions for the Hobbit. You can watch the YouTube channel for some of the Batman stuff.
Yep.
But one thing I do want to know is are you guys cool with the singles GT, or would people be interested in maybe us doing a 2-day team event or doubles event or something? Just fire it off. We kind of like the singles, but I know some people said they thought it would be cool if we had like a signature premier event that was unique, and but who knows? So let me know. So we'll start off with we did 6 games over 2 days. We did 4 games on the Saturday. I only had one person or two, no more than that. A few people said it was a bit much for one day, but it allowed us to do 2 games on Sunday, which meant that people were generally home for dinner if they were local, or they were home before bedtime if they were from Toronto.
Yeah, 4 games is hard, but you know what? You know what I say though? 4 games in 7th is impossible. My head would explode. But 4 games in 8th, I actually could see myself doing that 4th game. I didn't have to in the end, but I could have done it, right? Like I wasn't dead tired like I was after 3 games at CanHammer Team, right? So I think if the game remains not super crazy like 7th, then I think actually it wasn't too bad.
Yeah, there's two parts to it. When 8th came out, and we were not playtesting is the wrong word, but when we were playing it with the original leaks, right, the leak rules, it's totally reasonable to finish a 2,000-point game in 2 hours. And in fact, I'd say probably about 60-70% of our games at the tournament for 40K finished in around the 2-hour time frame. But every other game went to time. Yeah. And this isn't to pick on people. Some people are fast at playing Warhammer, some aren't. It's the same people, right? The folks who needed every last second in 7th still need every last second in 8th. So I don't think we're ever going to be able to see shortening times until we move to some sort of clock approach.
No, but it just seemed less mentally taxing to play.
It is. There are less than 50 things you have to remember for every unit now, which is amazing. Now that said, the pretty consistent feedback I've gotten 2 years in a row now has been that 4 games is too much in one day. It's 13 hours of Warhammer. So I think we may look, at least on the 40K side, at like a 3-2 split for next year.
And then your night goes long. You still need dinner, and then you need to wind down.
That's a
get up early.
Good example.
Again, right?
We didn't get out to dinner until like 9 o'clock on the Saturday.
That's a hard one for me. I like the 4 and 2 split. I think 6 games gives you more opportunity to have a solid scores at the end.
Yeah. Oh, I agree. That's
the problem.
If I had a choice, I would do 4 and 3. Like I do a 7-round tournament. But it is absolutely, it's a taxing event.
Yeah, it's too bad. Okay, so I don't know how much we want to go into each individual game. Do you guys want to just talk about generally how your general scoring was done? Because I know this was different. We moved away from the ITC. So we're getting sick, and we're not nailing those guys. We love the ITC, Frankie and Reese, blah, blah, blah. But we did not like win-loss draw. It was starting to wear on me. When it's like, it's game 3, and you lose by 1 point, and you lose that 1,000-point bonus, and you're out, essentially. Yeah. It's frustrating for people. And what I find is when you have win-loss draw, people tend to push it a little bit more. Because holding that objective matters, because that's 1,000 bonus points. Whereas what I did in Age of Sigmar is I did a 20-0 system. So, if you're going to push really hard for that last objective, which is questionable, you might get 1 point out of it.
Yep.
So people are less likely to do it. They're more likely to just play their game. And so I really like that. We got rid of win-loss draw. We just did total battle for the weekend. And it was 80% of your score. So you did 20-0 in each game times 6 is what, Logan? 120?
A number, 120, yeah.
So that was your total score, and that's that. So if you had a hard game against a really hard opponent and you managed to pull 8 points out of it, you were by no means knocked out.
Yeah. So for anybody listening who used to play Fantasy or has looked at the ETC scoring over the past couple of years, it was a very similar approach. Basically, you'd add up your points for the mission, for primary, for the Eternal War, for the Maelstrom, and your bonus objectives, and figure out the difference between those. So if I was playing against Darren, and Darren got a total of like 16 points, split among whatever the heck the mission was, 16 points, and I got 10 points, he'd win by a difference of 6, which in our scale was something like 6 point. I think it was like a 14-6 win at that point.
It should be 13. That should be 13-7.
Yeah, 13-7. So the idea was that you get a scale of difference in the games. Because, to Chris's point, there's nothing more demoralizing than literally like ending your tournament run because of a half inch on the last turn. Like you could basically table someone, you could win absolutely everything, and then because you can get first blood, you may as well pack up and go home, right? And that's really frustrating. And as an example of how that worked, the guy that won best overall lost a game, right? But he lost one game very marginally and won all 5 other games in a huge fashion. And if we were doing win-loss draw, he would have come in somewhere like 15th.
Yeah, but and for the 20-0 system, there's no reason to concede.
Oh, never.
Never. Sometimes there is. So I had 3 games, and so I had something like 18 players times 6 games. 3 of those games ended in a 20-0. Well, the guy was not tabled out of that whole event. So that means just by playing a game out, you're getting yourself 1 or 2 points. And so what I did is ETC style is if you get 1 point, you round up. So if it was like a difference of 7, it would actually be like a 14-6. And I said, no, we're going to round down. So everything in my event rounded down, which meant that it was tighter games in general. And so how the Age of Sigmar worked is we had primary objective, which would be, for example, border war. Well, you get your points, you take a differential. And then the secondary was kill points. Every 200 points of the enemy army you kill, you get 1 point towards differential. And then I had bonus points. And everybody's games were like 12-8s. Like there's a few 20-0s at every round. There always is, right? Yep. But like majority of my games were in the 14-6 range, which was amazing. Because guys would say that. They're like, so many people came after and were like, man, I've never played Age of Sigmar this way where, most people are like 3 Places of Power, for example. I won a game in a practice event, and this is the one that really was the straw on the camel's back anyway. I put 2 characters on objectives, scored 2 points, killed my opponent's characters, and ran away. He killed everything in my army but like 2 units, and they were in back corners. And I went, I win by 2 points, big win, 1,000 points. Win, loss, draw.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, I got to say, on the 40K side, the game is new enough that we had a huge number of 20-0 wins. I'd say a majority of the games ended as a 20-0.
That's the way the game is right now, right?
Yeah,
you table or get tabled.
Exactly, and that was exactly what happened.
If you take those style of armies, right, which a lot of people did, right?
Yeah, for the missions where people had models left on the board, the scores were usually very close, and that was actually pretty common at the top tables. It was great to see. We had a lot of incredibly close games that really, for the last 2 rounds, decided the tournament. But yeah, at most of the tables, it was definitely the 20-0 kind of situation with people just getting annihilated. Which we saw this in 7th a bunch, we saw it in 6th a bunch. As the meta evolves, people figure out lists that aren't just auto lose if you get seized on, things like that.
Yeah. There was a lot of seizing too.
Yeah, and Warhammer Community actually just did an article about strategies to deal with that, which is good because it. Like, for some reason, people who are otherwise very intelligent about this game seem to have completely forgotten about, 1, seizing, and 2, going second. Like, it's bizarre to watch that some people just design lists that if you don't go first, you lose. It's a really strange thing.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's my peeve right now with the game, is that a lot of people are just blaming the game for their own list design.
Yeah. I mean, there are issues for sure, but
like there was a lot of Stormraven players that got tabled, but were winning their games until they got tabled.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, tons of them. There were some really strong lists. Like there was one guy who showed up with 3 Knights and 3 Stormravens. Right, that's a really good list. But if you get seized on and all your Knights die to 18 las cannons, let's say,
yeah, you're done.
Game over.
Yeah, it's definitely food for thought. Okay, so what were the 40K awards like, Logan?
So we did a whole set of these. We had best overall, best general, best presentation, which was done based on our paint scoring with votes as tiebreakers. We had a showcase, which was the top, I think, 7 this year. The top 7 painted armies, not based on points, but actually based on judge impressions. That was myself, Chris, and our painting competition judge, Andrew Weber. Then we had Player's Choice, which was a combination of paint score and sportsmanship voting. And then we had Best Imperial, Best Chaos, Best Xenos, and the Bad Dice Award. So for a total of, I think, 9 awards? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, 9 awards for 40K.
Yeah, we had something similar for Age of Sigmar. So let's start with Bad Dice. Who was your Bad Dice in 40K?
Bad Dice went to someone who finished the event. If I remember correctly, this is from memory, so if I'm wrong, please don't kill me. Someone who got 0 battle points for the event, which was Garrett Makarucha, who came down from Sudbury, I believe. Yeah,
and for the second tournament in a row, Matthias. Sorry, I keep saying Matthew. But he, with his Beastmen, got last place. He did tie with somebody else for last place battle, but the other guy won a painting award.
Well, at least you walked away with something. There's some damn nice dice. So, who got Player's Choice for you?
For painting?
We'll put the... Oh, right, you didn't do the sports award, right?
I had the paint... You're talking paint voting, right?
Yeah, let's talk about
Cromlech, right? So Cromlech gave us, I think it was €40 plus a wooden plaque award. And so this was the most votes. So for Age of Sigmar, we actually had 2 armies that won in votes, but they had one other award. So Nick Legary actually won with his Caradron Overlords. It was a metal-themed Caradron list, so they were very rusty, lots of metals. He actually has 2 full matching tables to go, or 1. I thought it was 2, but maybe 1. So it's like all metallic world, like a metallic river and like metallic cubes and all these different colors. It's like, when he told me about what he was going to do, I was like a bit skeptical, but it actually looked really nice.
It looked so cool. He did like sort of like a lime-colored rust on everything. It was magical.
And that kind of like
it was so cool.
Molten metal river.
Yeah,
really?
It was 2. Oh my god,
he's not done it, and it's going to be really nice when it's fully finished. But yeah, he pumped that out, and it's
that's incredible.
It's pretty cool.
And if you guys want to see pictures of these, facebook.com/CanHammer, we've got a whole bunch of albums up of both the painting competitions, just general event photos, and the showcase armies.
Yeah, and also the YouTube reports. The final one will be out tomorrow, and I do spend time just going around filming people's armies because I'm always interested to see what people bring.
Yeah,
very cool.
So who won yours, Logan?
So the 40K side was Pierre-Luc Aroux, who I think won a painting award last year, was showcased last year for sure, and I think was showcased the year before too. Really talented guy. Taught me a lot about airbrushing metallics, which is surprisingly difficult depending on what paints you use. But he had a beautiful Grey Knights army that he did up in the past 2 weeks from from bare plastic. He was sending me work in progress pictures every day, showing me what was going on with it. So, beautiful army. Just super smooth, clean paint. It's pretty cool. So, but much like your situation, there was one person that was above him who ended up winning a different award for presentation.
So was that the Grey Knights army with the converted Drago?
Yes.
With Drago with the beard?
Yeah, that was the one.
Yeah, that was a sick army. Yeah.
So, did you do a sportsmanship award for AOS? All right, so who won that one?
For me, sportsmanship went to Phil Perrins. He's English, from Cambridge, Ontario. He's a Team CanHammer player. He's the guy that knocked me out of a few tournaments down there. He's playing his Destruction Army. And so we did, it was like a combination of painting and sports votes.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this was also the case is that the guys that won best sport, I had a couple guys that ran away with a lot of different awards, but Phil's a really fun guy to play against, and his army looks really nice, and it's he's a friend of mine. He's a really cool dude, so he's well and deserving of the award.
Nice.
Not that I picked it. You guys, everybody else voted.
Yeah, it's all.
It sounded like I picked it there, but no. People voted for him.
So I am happy to say that. So we basically the way we do the sports awards is you list all 6 of your opponents and you pick out of those who your favorite opponent is. And people were jumping up and down the tables the entire event, which was cool. So people got a really good variety of who they were playing against. And we had, I think, out of a 54-person event, we had sports votes go to over 30 people, which is really cool. That's a great variety. Now, that said, there were a couple people who really stood out. And hilariously, for anyone who's been around for a long time, Will Paul ended up winning our best sports. And Will Paul cleans up the sports awards. He's actually a really good sport, but he's the filthmonger. So he walked away with that.
It's kind of a weird contradiction, isn't it?
Yeah. No, he's super clean, and he's super straight edge, and he always reminds you if you forget one of your rules. And his army is really cool, orc army. And you know what? He's one of those guys that when you know him, you just want to play him all the time. And I think a lot of people here know him, and everybody really enjoyed playing him.
Yeah, I was supposed to play him on my whatever game, 3rd game or 4th game, and I was looking forward to it because I've been in tournaments with Will so many times, and I've never played against him. And then we got diverted, so it's too bad.
Darren was
that saved him a bad game.
Darren was our ringer for the event, so he was dropping in and out as people could or couldn't come to rounds. All right, so how about you go through your top 4, your best in faction?
Yeah, so I don't do best general like Logan does, and my best in faction is only generalship because I want to reward people that want to play and don't necessarily want to have beautiful armies. But mind you, that being said, everybody had beautiful armies. There was 2 guys unpainted. They were both, and I know some people online were giving some hard time on that, but they were in the hobby 7 months. And they came, their first tournament, the big one, and they both promised to have painted armies next year. Not that they needed to, but so, that's why we do it. We want to include everybody. And, you're not going to get these guys motivated to paint their armies unless they go to an event like this and see what it's like when everybody has painted armies, right? So
for sure.
But that being said, so we had best death went to Brandon. He's the guy that won the singles tournament the day before with his Tomb Kings. Excellent list. Solid player. Next, we had our best order went to Guillaume with his Stormcast Eternals. Then best destruction went to Joyce Lynn, who got second most paint votes, and got a ton of sport votes as well. This guy really cleaned up with a really nice army, and he performed really well on the table, and it was gorgeous. Lots of freehand, lots of good shots on that. So Joyceland's an all-around hobbyist. Every aspect of it, he does excellent. And then the next was Best Chaos goes to Jeff Weed, who is our highest placing American. Woo! So we actually had 3 Americans at the Age of Sigmar singles, which was awesome because we don't get a lot of them north of the border. And John Chastney, our typical one, bailed. And I thought it was really cool to see, just to have them there, right?
Yeah, that's really exciting. That's cool.
Before NAFTA gets squashed.
What's that?
Before NAFTA gets squashed.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not going to change the border.
Jocelyn's army was the Beast Claw Raiders, right?
Yeah, and he had like a freehand like sign. And it was kind of like a reddish tinge, really nice bases, really nice display board. Even his goblins looked pretty good. Really good. I shouldn't have said pretty good, but it was like all around. As far as army showcases go, it's funny because a lot of the guys that won battle awards made the showcase.
Yep.
So
that's. I was actually having that conversation with someone south of the border recently. So the U.S. tournaments for the longest time haven't done an overall award, right? So you don't get a lot of the top generalship players tend to not have very nicely painted armies, whereas the exact opposite is true here in both games. Like the armies, you need both because we have like best overall is the top prize by a fair margin. So and that's what everyone wants to get. So pretty consistently we see just absolutely gorgeous armies on the top tables. Even when you have Canadians abroad, it's great.
Well, I don't want to generalize like that because there are like Adepticon's definitely more of a hobbyist when you're talking about the team events in Age of Sigmar. And then you got
team's
the boys.
Totally different, yeah.
Yeah, you get to boys, which is more hobby focused as well. But a lot of the ITC ranked ones, I'll agree with you 100%. It's like you either have a winning army or you have a nice painted army, and the two don't seem to go together or the priority. Whereas for us, I guess because we've always stuck to the hobby scores, like Du Bois is the same way, and that's in Rochester, New York. It matters, right? Like if you and our systems aren't crazy. Is your army fully painted? Yes. Did you do a name tag? Yes. Did you do a display board? Yeah. You got like 70% on your painting,
it's
right? So
it's really easy to get that 70% mark. Like the rubric's out of 42, and if you tick the reasonable boxes that are maybe an extra hour of work, you've got 30 points, right?
Actually, I had a guy win Age of Sigmar because he ticked a box.
Yep.
We missed his squad markings when we remarked his army. He came to me. He said, I want to argue my case. He showed us the squad markings. The paint judge came over, gave him 2 points, and he only won by 0.6 or something like that. So it matters, man. Like doing your eyes and doing like a freehand on every unit that won this guy the tournament, right? Now he won it on his battle score, but every point counts, right?
Yep.
And I always thought of that when I go to events, right? If they have check boxes, like that's how my Eldar got to be like decent, is that I was like, I need freehand and squad markings, and I need all this cool shit. So eyes done. So I paint all the eyes on my entire Eldar army for PNP like 6 or 5 just to get 1 bonus point. And I was like, well, I can't justify not doing it. It's 1 point now, and then they're done forever, right?
And it's been the difference in overall for every single event you've been to with it. And it got you guys showcased at Adepticon a couple years ago as well. The little things really add up. So I just think it's really cool that we've got such good hobbyists here.
So I lost track. Did I do all 4 of them?
You did all 4 of them.
Okay, good. So we'll move on to your...
All right. So best Imperial on our side went to Jason Sparks, who was playing Dark Angels, bunch of las cannons, assault cannon Razorbacks, and
parking lot.
Yeah, it's a parking lot. Best Chaos went to Alex Stewart, who was running an Imperial Knight, Magnus, Lord of Change, I think, and a bunch of other demons. So it was pretty cool to see.
Good player too.
Beautiful army too.
Those 2 guys are good players.
And best Xenos went to Diogo Pita and his 25 Wraiths and Orca.
30.
No, it's 30.
30 Wraiths. Yeah. 30 Wraiths. Yeah.
So his army's really cool, and a lot of credit, I think, goes to Diogo. He took an outside-of-the-box spammy army, which is fine. I love spam, but good on him, man. He placed really well with a very different army. With a lot of people crying about Necrons online, I think he proved that, yeah, it's a bit boring of a list, but you can do some great shit with it if you play well and you
Yeah,
did really well.
I actually interviewed Yoshi after the event, and he just designed the list to the missions. Like there was no other reasoning behind his list design other than it would get all those maelstroms, very hard to kick off of objectives, and can kill enough stuff to get where he needs to go.
Yeah, I asked him. I said, "Hey, what was your weakness?" He said, "Smite spam's the only thing that really messed me up." Yep. And I went and because I was like, "Wow, what scarabs are your answer to that, right? You put in 3-4 units of 9 scarabs. That's 400 points for 4 units of 9, and that's enough wounds to stop all the smites in the world, right?"
Yep, and that's actually the only thing that lost him basically a run for best overall. was the smite spam army he ran into. Now that said, for these scores, these were done by overall. So painting was definitely important, and all 3 of these guys had good paint scores. So it was definitely important. It made the difference in 2 of them.
They all had fully painted armies, yes.
All had, absolutely fully painted armies, display boards, whole 9 yards. All right, so let's talk about best presentation.
So for like the 4th year in a row, Age of Sigmar was won by Jason Hutchinson with a brand new destruction army, and it was gorgeous. And we had a whole setup of cameras and a light box, and we got up really close, and his stuff was really clean under the cameras.
Yeah,
and not a lot of blemishes. It was a cartoony style, and I love cartoony personally, and it was all edged and really nice, and but you get that under the mic, and it was gorgeous. And he scored the highest paint score. It was unanimous between all the painting judges. That was it. There was nobody questioned that, I think, at all. It was gorgeous. I was blown away because we had a practice event in May, and his army was 50% black, and now it's gorgeous.
That's the one with the spear chuckles on the side of the hogs and stuff.
Yeah, heavily converted.
So I played him at P&P, at the Day of Blood event, and it was half unpainted at that time, but I could tell it was going to be good. It would be
What's really crazy too is, everyone's hobby gets better as you do more of it. But Jason was already a pretty high point. If you look back to our pictures from the first year of Capital City Bloodbath, he won it with a Dark Elf army, which is a beautiful army. But if you look at it up close, there were a lot of things that didn't quite, hold up from, let's say 6-8 inches away. But how far he's come from then with a completely beautiful army to the stuff now where you can do macro shots with the camera and it holds up in a light box is amazing. He's super talented.
It's really always a new army too. So he won, I believe it was with Dark Elves, then Beastmen, and then now his Destruction, which is Iron Jaws. And his old Beastmen, it was a newer Beastmen army, right, with some older elements. But he sets the bar high, and that's why I think we get so many really nice armies coming, because people see this bar set high and they want to reach it.
Yeah, it's depressing for scrubs like us.
Yeah, I'll never paint that well.
That's what motivates me, though.
Shit in 3 nights. So what can I say?
It's depressing.
That's my problem. Is I always rush for events and I never actually take my time.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons I'm thinking about sort of stepping back a bit from the competitive side of things. One, the game's in turmoil right now, but 2, I just want to have a nicer looking army, right? The guys that I was chatting with who had the most beautiful armies, a lot of them are fantastic players as well. But, people seem to just be having a blast on the mid and upper, across the whole event, but especially around the mid tables. People are just having so much fun.
You lose your first 2 games. Let's say you're at LVO, whatever. You lose your first 2 games. You crack open a beer, and then you're having fun, and you're laughing, and you're doing these crazy. Now imagine if game 1 was like that.
Yeah.
That's how I kind of picture it, right?
That's what I'd expect going, when I went to Du Bois, right? It's the same idea. You go there for fun to hobby, your stories from Wapaka, right? It's the same sort of thing.
That set the bar. That's when I started actually thinking about hobby, was playing Wapaka.
Yeah.
Cool. So who won Best Painted for you? Because this is amazing.
Best presentation on our side was somebody that a lot of people here will know, but maybe not by name. This was Adam Rogers. Adam Rogers is Greenleaf Terrain, and his army was unbelievable. It was a Lamenter's Space Marines, just checker patterns everywhere, beautiful solid yellow, We have a bunch of terrain from him as well, which has stood up amazingly well. I've actually been really surprised how durable it is.
Excellent. His work's
it's great. He does all the terrain for mini wargaming as well, so I guarantee you've seen his stuff. But yeah, no, just absolutely beautiful army. We've got a bunch of
so nice. He did the saran wrap water.
Yeah.
Oh my god, it's gorgeous.
Yeah. It was just incredible. And
when I saw
again,
his,
go ahead.
When I saw his army, I was like, okay, you're winning best painting.
Oh yeah, there was no contest. There were some people who were very, very close on the painting rubric to him, but when it came down to like the showcase votes, for example, he was miles ahead of it, like quadruple, quintuple the number of votes that came in.
Yeah. Now, one thing is like we don't give away multiple. Like, so something that should be said is we don't give away multiple awards to the same person.
Yeah,
he might have won like several painting awards.
He would have won both the painting awards. Yeah. Now, check out the photos of his army again. They're up on our Facebook page. The weathering he's done is it's flawless. Like
Lamenters are a painter's army too. That color scheme
to deal with that yellow,
so hard to do. But when you do it well, like his army
pops.
I was like, it made me want to literally throw all my painted models in the garbage.
I
feel that way
I
right
threw
now.
my army in the garbage, literally. Like,
like I was like, I came home and I was like, my elder need to go in a dumpster. And that's my baby. Those are my babies.
I'm planning on painting Nick's orcs yellow. So I was like, hey, Adam, how did you paint this yellow? And he's like, it's this. And I'm like, Nick, I'm just going to spray yours Averland Sunset, okay?
You need like 10 layers of colors to get yellow to work properly.
And the interesting thing is, because I've spent quite a lot of time filming this army, and you'll see it if you watch the reports, but he has that kind of black and white checker pattern on a lot of his vehicles and stuff. Normally you black and white check and you're pretty happy with yourself, but each check was highlighted. It was crazy.
Yeah, it's really, really, really nice. Okay, so best general for 40K.
Best general for 40K went to Kieran Gibb. He was running
Team ETC, Kieran.
Yeah, one of the ETC players. He was running 3 Storm Ravens, Robot Girly Man, Calexis, and
Devastators. Missile Devastators. Yeah, that was the clutch because it allowed him to get his drops down, so he always went first. And if he wouldn't have got seized on by Jeff's Storm Raven list that had more drops than him, he pulled a 12-8, I think, in that game. But if he wouldn't have got seized on, I think he would have 20-0'd and he might have won.
If he got literally one more point, he would have won best overall.
Yeah. And
that's all I need.
He got seized on against a Storm Raven player with way more drops than him, an Astra Militarum, and he was gutted. And Jeff Brown's also a friend of ours. He's been on many podcasts, and Jeff, rubbed it in. Oh, yes, he did.
Of course he would. He's Jeff.
Oh, yeah.
So who got you didn't do a best general award, that's right.
No, I don't believe in individual generalship for some reason. That's just the way
So who got best overall on the Age of Sigmar side?
So it was actually really tight. It was between 2 guys in the same car. And it came down to a decimal point, which was literally a painting point. And it went to Zach with his Soulblight army.
Nice.
Best overall was pure Soulblight, Darren.
Nice.
Don't you cry about how underpowered Death are? They were 1 and 2, bud. 1 and 2. Tomb Kings and Soulblight.
Was that
Tomb King doesn't count.
Wait, that wasn't the Nagash army, was it?
No.
It was. Was that the one with all the Blood Knights?
Yeah, well, that's what it is. Soulblight is Blood Knights.
Yeah. That's cool. He actually had the Blood Knight models as well, didn't he?
Yeah, his army was really nice. He made Showcase as well with that army. He didn't have a display board, which actually hurt him. If he had freehand on every model, he had squad markings, he had everything. If he would have had a proper display board, it would have been clearer that he would have been further ahead. But he did really well, and he 20-0'd his last game really hard, which really bumped him up. Because as far as battle points go, we had 2 guys with 80 battle points at the Age of Sigmar. We had 2 guys within the high 80s, but they both had 0 on painting. And then Zach and Brandon both had 80s, but they had really good paint scores or decent paint scores.
Cool.
So that won them the event. But really, if you look at the overall scoring, first place was 67.6, second was 67.3, third was 65, then it was 59, 59, 59, 58, 57. So my spread amongst the top half of the tournament was 3 points overall, 4 points overall.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so it was literally I stood at the tournament and I was like, okay, top 4 tables. All of you can win overall.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We had the same thing.
And they all were like, what? They thought I was joking just to keep them motivated. And then at the end, I was like, no, I wasn't joking. Like literally the top 4 tables were really high, if not even the top 5.
Yeah. No, it was super tight on the 40K side too. Going into the last round, there was one person who had gone through the event who had a pretty flawless record up until one of the later games. And as soon as he lost that game, it opened it up for anybody on the top 4 tables to take the event. Now that said, he was able to pull it through. Pretty solid paint score for this army too. This was Eric Dion from Montreal, who's actually moving to Ottawa in about 2 weeks, which will be cool. So we'll have a new face around here. He's running Magnus, 2 Renegade Knights, and a bunch of Brimstones and Blue Horrors.
Yeah,
so
I was actually shocked at how well it was listed because it had 3 of the big targets, and I don't know. I was actually really surprised.
He dodged Jason, as I recall, which would have been like the counter to his army.
Yeah, 12 blast cannons. Yeah,
yeah. So that helped him. But yeah, no, he had just did very, very well. Solid paint score. But the difference between him and Kieran was very similar to yours. Out of the the normalized 0 to 100 score at the end of the event, it was 0.6 difference between them. So literally one battle point, 2 paint points would have completely changed the event result for best overall. So it was really cool to see it be so very close.
And I think that's a tribute to pat ourselves on the back a little bit in that our scoring worked. Obviously, that when half the people are still in the tournament till the end, and everybody's got painted armies, I think it really worked. And you don't see that anywhere else. Like at ITC, it's like some of the ITC tournaments we run when we're just going pure battle. It's clear who won.
Oh yeah, very quickly.
And you have plastic army, you win, right? It is what it is. And even if you don't get overall, you're like, whatever. I had the most rankings points, right? So
yeah. And by the way, points probably by the time this podcast goes out will be submitted. I need to get to them this coming weekend.
Oh, and you're gonna do mine too, right? Thanks, buddy.
Yeah, probably not.
Damn it.
That's assuming BCP ever accepts the points because we still have an event from April they haven't scored. But that's cool.
CanHammer team tournament. We put the event. We did all of it 2 weeks after the event. It's just they're not in. We email them all the time. Sorry, guys. It's not our fault. Maybe we could have done some things better, so it's partially our fault, but it's not entirely. But I feel bad.
So we'll see what happens in Bloodbath. But yeah. I think it was a pretty good event. Chris and Jason fortunately have a very good terrain organization set up. Basically, a table goes in a box, and the box goes on the truck. So we were able to do setup in 4 hours, tear down in 2.5, 3 hours.
Yeah, from your perspective, My perspective, it started at 3 o'clock on a Thursday. I think I got to the hotel at 11 o'clock on the Thursday, and then I got home and I finished unpacking by 11 o'clock on Sunday. And that was unloading.
In fairness, it's because you and Jason live in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, that's part of it. But,
that was mostly honestly, travel time.
Last night I fully finished unpacking and doing the budget and stuff. And I still have 3 jobs left to do from the tournament, and it's a week later. But it's a lot. But you know what? You guys made it worth it.
Absolutely.
Honestly, I don't mind doing this because our attendees are so freaking awesome. And everybody makes us feel respected, and everybody treats each other well. Everybody brings nice armies. Everybody plays. They have a good time, and it just makes it worthwhile. I'm just glad we can do it. And it is a lot of work, and it does murder us. I was exhausted, but it is so worth it.
Yeah, it's a grueling 3.5 days to run this event. But yeah, it's totally worth it. The fun that people tell us they had, it makes it all worthwhile, right? The fact we come close to not losing money is really good too. But obviously you never get into running tournaments for money. It's never going to happen. So it's just really, it makes it worthwhile when people come up to you after the event like, hey man, this was really fun. Or in my case, I know for one of the guys that came over, Martin from the UK, came up afterwards like, yeah, this has reinvigorated my interest in this hobby.
That being said,
that's cool.
We know it went well. We are interested in serious feedback.
Absolutely.
Constructive
Whatever
feedback.
Sucked, tell us. But yes, be constructive about it, please. But anything.
Or I just won't listen.
Yeah.
I don't listen to dickheads anymore. Life's too short for that.
Anything that we can do to make the event better. Ideally, if you attended, please tell us. If you didn't attend,
well, you can tell us why, as long as you're polite.
Yeah, you can tell us.
Hey, the cost is too much, and I don't think that food's worthwhile. Well, that's fine, but it is what it is, right?
Yeah.
The show's getting a bit long, and we're going to move on because we have a show that's coming. We're going to do one next week, getting into some of the new 40K releases and maybe General's Handbook. So we're just going to move on to our Q&A from Facebook for tonight, and then we'll finish her up because we'll be back shortly. So first question, Logan.
All right. First question is from Matt Von Bear. Was the reason to go 20-0 if you table an opponent a way to have definitive winners after 6 games versus forcing winners to play it out and seeing if they actually manage to get full points? Thoughts on having different scores if you concede versus getting tabled? For example, if you concede, you get 20-0 versus playing it out. That's actually a couple questions, so we'll start out answering those. The reason we did a 20-0 win if you table someone or if they concede is because that's what it says in the rule book. It's a massive, like the full major win. In both those scenarios, that actually lines up with GW's matched play tournament pack as well for the GT. So we figured we'd stick to that. The goal of the 40K event was to run the event as as close as humanly possible to rules as written. The only exception we had to that was, if something is clearly not intended, like literally it's because something is spelled wrong that it doesn't work, we'll change it. Or if it's something is just absolutely game-breakingly dumb, we're not going to allow it. That said, we only had one of those scenarios. It was in the doubles event, and it was something that would actually never happen in gameplay. It was just a quirk of how the doubles worked.
So I got a follow-on question for that. So I just recently read the GW 40K GT pack, and what they specify is that in your army list you have to write down your warlord trait and your pre-game stratagem. So the stratagem that lets you upgrade your chapter master, that lets you take extra relics, stuff that came out that we weren't using at CCBB, which is fine. Yep. So are we going to go with that for future tournaments? So those things that are pre-game have to be specified in army list and not.
I do that in Age of Sigmar. Write everything in.
Yeah, my preference would be to go with whatever GW is suggesting for it. Rules is written before that GT pack. You can do it whenever you want. So I know like ITC, for example, does it before every game. With that said, if the standard from GW for their GT is specified in your list, we'll probably go with that. Honestly, the easier it is to run a consistent event, the more interested I am in using that standard. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be the most balanced. It has to be the easiest for players and for staff.
Yeah, because if people are playing GW rules at home, you don't want to have a tournament where they have to change the way they play at home somewhat.
Well, exactly.
Right? We also want a balanced, stimulating tournament. But I like 20-0 for tabling because it's a reward for people that take stupid armies that score high in the first turns and then get tabled. Like, you have to add some kind of stability and longevity to your list.
Yeah.
And also you have to give somebody a 20-0 for conceding, because once they concede, you honestly have no way of knowing how the game would go.
Yeah, there's no feasible way to play it out. And if somebody concedes, they have no interest in standing there and watching somebody play it the rest of the turns. So
usually
that's that. All right, and the second part of Matt's question: future of AOS Compendium in the tournament. Now that it's no longer in the GHB2, will units that are Compendium no longer be valid? I think it is still in there.
I thought they were still in there. Yeah.
Yeah, I know this may be a little early to be asking, but current initial thoughts, acknowledging these thoughts could change in the future. Also wanted to say I had a blast playing and I'm looking forward to coming next year and hopefully have a better record than 0-9.
Yeah, you lost every game.
We can't get any worse. That's it.
That's true. You can only go up from here.
So we can't really answer this because we don't know. My copy will be in my hand tomorrow. We'll do a show on that, but if they're gone, I'm actually happy. If they're not gone, as long as they're not crazy, I'm still okay with it. It's just that it does suck when people want to buy a model and they can't buy it.
Yeah.
That's my opinion.
Like, I know after watching the doubles event, I was like, hey, Tomb Kings look pretty good. Oh, well.
They went up in points, though, I do believe, across the board.
Yeah, I know they got balanced again, but like just the army aesthetic, right? They look great on rounds, and there was a beautifully painted army there that is impossible to get now.
Well, you can get used if you want to, but it's still impossible, yeah.
Yeah.
So we're beating that horse. We're going to talk about the General Handbook. Sorry, we can't really answer your question. We'll just move it over to the next podcast.
Yeah.
If that's okay.
All right. Next question is from Mark Susan. Question regarding Psychers. Does the Calexis -2 stop an enemy Psyker from suffering perils of the warp if they roll a double 6?
No.
Also, does Tigurius never peril because he can reroll psychic tests?
No.
Yeah,
He can reroll a double 6.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, the reroll stands for Tiggy, so you can definitely perils on it. As far as the -2, it doesn't matter what the modifiers are. It's on a double 1 or a double 6, you suffer perils. It doesn't actually matter what the result is. So you can have a -2, you can have a -12. Double 6 is still perils. Same idea with like gets hot, right? A 1 will always get hot because it's always a fail. Actually, no, that's not true for gets hot.
That's not true for gets hot.
Not true for gets hot. Ignore that part.
That's why people run.
Either way, when it depends on a die facing specifically, like it does for those, the roll is what matters, not the modifiers.
Yep, sounds good. So I think that's it for this show. Thanks for listening through, guys. Thanks for attending Capital C Bloodbath. Thanks again for everybody that showed up and came out and plays the ETC. This was just we just want to get caught up. We're going to start coming at you guys really strong next week. And I don't know, I right now I'm just so thankful that we have such an awesome community, so many wicked listeners, so many awesome friends, so many awesome attendees, awesome sponsors, you name it. I am about as happy in this hobby as I've ever been. Thanks, guys.
The community is what's bringing me back in. It's excellent. It's unparalleled by any other hobby I've been involved in.
Final thoughts, Darren?
Yeah, as somebody who I wasn't actually involved in running the event, I was the ringer, but I got to play, and it was super fun. Definitely be more involved in it next year, and I echo all your sentiments about the community. It's the only reason I spend hours and hours and hours making videos to put on YouTube is because I know people enjoy watching it, and so that's what I appreciate about it. So, and on a personal note for me, so many people at the event coming to say hi to me, or that they enjoy the YouTube channel or things like that, that makes it all worth it for me. So.
Yeah, awesome, man. You do really good work, man, Darren, for sure. You put a lot of content. I'd like to help you out more, and that's going to be hopefully coming, but I've said that a few times. So, wicked. So thanks for listening, guys. For feedback, email us canhammer.podcast@gmail.com. Go to canhammer.ca for more information about everything that we do. You can check us out on YouTube, youtube.com/canhammer. And if you want to support us, go to patreon.com/canhammer.